Welcome to Glitch Cube. We're a gaming podcast, and each week we take a deeper look into the art of video games. I'm Christian.
I'm Chris.
And this week we go into one of the most iconic games of all time, in my opinion, and I feel like many will have that same opinion. We're going to be diving into the wonderful world of Pokemon.
That's so millennial.
Gotta catch all them Pokemons. All right, so are you ready to talk about some of these wonderful experiences we've had growing up about these adorable little critters?
Oh, yes, I am.
Okay, well then let's get that adventure going. Pop in that cartridge real quick, and here we go. Oh, hello there, young adventurer. My name is Professor Bark. My mother, no, your mother, sorry, I'm getting a little senile in my old age, told me that you'll be coming by. I have these, I caught these little bastards in my garbage can last night, digging. I think you can take them with you on your Pokemon adventures. So I have some for you to choose from. I have a fire lizard, a water turtle, and a fucking green thing. Don't know what this is, but it has leaves on it. What it'll be, little guy?
Thanks, Professor Bark, but I want the electric mouse.
That wasn't one of the options here, so... you want?
Damn, catch me one.
You want the rat?
I want the rat.
You want the rat? He wants the rat. You guys. All right. Here you go. Here's the rat. I guess. Be careful. He shocks and bites. He bites a lot. I hope you have band-aids and potions. Yeah. I don't know. Get. All right. So you got your starter. Get on out here, kid, and just bye. Get the fuck out. All right. So Pokemon has really expanded my childhood greatly. It's inspired a lot of the things that I've done, and I've played almost every single titles and loved every single one of them. Even though, to be honest, they are exactly the same. Every single game. But they're still fun regardless of the facts, and they are always enjoyable. There's crazy adventures. You get new things to catch, new Pokemon to learn, new abilities, new attacks, all that fun stuff. And when you say Pokemon, I feel like a lot of people, if not almost everybody in the entire world at this point, knows what you're talking about. So I'm curious about your early experiences with Pokemon. What drew you to it? What excites you about it? And who was your actual starter to begin with? Who was number one for you in the beginning?
A lot of surprises with this one. So honestly, I don't really know what got me first into it. I think I remember being at a Toys R Us and picking it up. Blue was my first one. I still have my copy of Blue.
Nice.
Battery still works on it, surprisingly. I know a few of my old cartridges, the batteries are dying, so I'm kind of happy that my memories are still there.
It's because there's a Magnemite in there. It's fine.
Exactly, yeah. No Grimers.
No grime.
My starter was Bulbasaur.
Oh, interesting.
I know, and I'm like, later on, I always would pick fire Pokemon. Even to this day, I'll always pick fire now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was weird. I don't know, because I watched the show and everything, and I was like, oh, Charmander's cool, and, Squirtle's got that toad going on with the sunglasses.
Hell yeah.
I don't know, but I felt like Bulbasaur was just, gonna end up being this, powerhouse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, I wasn't wrong. It did well the first gym, grass beats rock, and then grass does fine against water. Kind of. Yeah. They both kind of are crappy against each other, but yeah, it wasn't a weakness, right? Then in the third gym, you're basically fine. Like Bulbasaur was that safe pick.
Right.
And I mean, at the time, I didn't know. Obviously, I didn't know anything about the game. Like, I got it when it came out. And yeah, I fucking loved Bulbasaur. It's weird. Like, Venusaur, the ugly friggin' flower on his back. Like,
I don't even know what Venusaur is. Or Bulbasaur in general. Like, what is it? Turtle? Is it a frog?
I think it's more of a turtle, but instead of a shell, it's a bulb.
So they just gave you 2 turtles and a lizard?
They really dicked us, didn't they?
Yeah. Come on, where's the variety? Gosh, it's Pokemon.
Exactly. I know. Lacking variety that early in the series?
Yeah.
Oof.
I mean, now they have literally a ring of keys. You would think that they wouldn't have run out of ideas that early, but it's fine. Whatever.
Right. They've always kind of kept the same. But, yeah, I mean, I just remember picking it up, not knowing really what to expect. Because, I mean, there weren't really any monster taming games back then, so it was totally mind-blowing. And, I mean, I'm definitely going a little bit deeper later, my ideas on how it affected my love for RPGs later in the episode. But what was your first?
For me, I got Pokemon Red first.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I was drawn to it. I mean, it's funny. The color red, I actually hate it in clothing, but when it comes to other things, I really love it. But that cartridge just really like drew me in. I loved the art of Charizard on there. I thought it was so badass and just exciting, and it made me really just want to play it and just kind of figure out what was going on. Eventually I did get blue and then yellow, of course, and all that, so you can trade amongst them because the exclusives between red and blue, right? So you have to get both.
Gotta get them all.
Exactly. That's the whole catchphrase. Gotta catch them all, right? So I mean, originally I went with Pokemon Red, and on brand I picked Charizard as my first starter.
Boring.
I know. I'm a basic bitch. I like pumpkin spice lattes. What can I say? Right? So
it says a lot.
It does, but I'm okay with that. I accept my inner basicness. I'm okay with it.
Comfortable with basic.
That's right. I'm comfortable with myself, and that's important. That's a lesson for all you kids out there.
At least you are.
It's okay. Well, somebody has to. So, but yeah. So I mean, it was really fun. I spent countless hours playing these games and traveling around with Charizard. And I think what really drew me to him, you mentioned the anime and how they portrayed these guys. And there's one episode that to this day still sticks out in my brain as like the saddest moment in anime history. And it made me, as a kid, like I literally wanted to cry while watching this freaking episode of Pokemon.
The beach episode?
Where
James gets the boobs.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that was pretty depressing to see because of how unrealistic to see his dreams deflate so fast. No, so it was when Charmander gets abandoned in the rain, and he's sitting out there with a little leaf covering his tail because if his flame goes out, he dies. As a kid, I was like, "Oh my god, they can die!" Like. This is horrible because, I mean, while playing with a kid, yes, this is a game about, if you're unaware of Pokemon, I mean, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but the big thing is that you battle against other adorable critters, and you battle to the point of fainting or exhaustion. So no one dies, even though they
just go to sleep.
Yeah, you just go to sleep. Yeah, I mean, they do have ghost-type Pokemon, and Cubone does wear the skull of his own mother as a helmet, which is its own creepy and fucked up stuff that the Pokemon has. But it's it was one of those like revelations where it's like, oh my gosh, this adorable little critter can actually die. And I mean I couldn't see him being left out in the rain. So of course, whenever I picked up the title, I was like, don't worry, Charmander, I won't leave you out in the rain. I'll take you with me everywhere I go. We'll be the next Pokemon heroes. And of course I picked him, yeah. But then when Yellow came out, I was super stoked to have Pikachu because it's Pikachu, right? Like everybody wants that. And you can make him surf and do all kinds of stupid crap that didn't really make any sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think coming back to that, I think another reason why, like, I found, when you look at like red and blue, Squirtle, Charmander makes sense, but like with Venusaur, why? Like green didn't come out here.
No, it didn't. Yeah.
I
mean, later
so
Leaf
like,
Green came out, but originally Green didn't. No.
Yeah, I'm like, what is a Bulbasaur?
I just don't think that he was like well marketable. I mean, like you said, he's ugly.
No. Yeah, he's ugly. That's why I liked him.
Yeah, right, there you go.
I figured he had some special ugly power that, I don't know, made him powerful, which...
Well, he could get Scary Face, right? So...
Yeah.
There you go.
He got that, like, beam. I forgot what beam it's called. Omni Beam, I think, or something?
What,
solar Beam?
Yeah, Solar Beam.
Dude, that thing wrecks.
Yeah, as far as, like, ultimate moves when it comes to, what was it? The Hydro Pump, Solar Beam, and... What's the fire type one?
I forgot.
Ooh, we're gonna... Oh, Flame Blast? Fire Blast.
Oh, yeah, Fire Blast.
Yeah, like that Solar Beam in the end game was like the OP move to get. Yeah. But as a kid, you don't think like end game. You think right now it's like, oh, hell yeah, I can just set shit on fire.
Yeah.
Or if you pick Squirtle, it's like, oh, sweet. Even though he's not wearing them, I'm going to imagine him with those cool sunglasses. He's Joe Cool the Turtle. You can see Squirtle in the back with a leather jacket smoking cigarettes. You want to hang out with that guy. But it's just, but then there was just Bulbasaur. He's just there. He's just like, man, like nobody even knows what you are, kid. I'm like, good luck out there. You can't run fast and you're tiny. And I mean, talk about like the weird tentacle stuff. That Bulbasaur's all over that. He's got you covered.
Oh god, I forgot about the tentacles.
Yep, that Vine Whip. Those come out of nowhere, but they always look like they came out of his butt. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Yep, 100%. So I wanted to just kind of go over a little bit because as adorable as these guys are and how iconic they are and how much like parents are totally okay with their kids playing Pokemon because, I mean, it's just cute little critters. How bad can it possibly be? I wanted to go over a couple of these ideas behind like the Pokedex entries because they are fucked up, like beyond belief. Like they are terrifying. It's just insane to no ends. For instance, we have Hypno, who was just basically a man in a fursuit trying to hypnotize people. I mean, that's what he looks like. He's just already kind of creepy in his own sense.
I thought it actually was a man.
No, unfortunately, it's not. It's just a furry walking around. But
oh no.
For instance, for the gold edition, the Pokedex entry for him was, when it is very hungry, it puts humans to sleep, then feasts on their dreams. Now, that's, to me, that's messed up. Like, that's terrifying in its own sense, where it's like, really? This Pokemon's going to put me to sleep and just eat my dreams? Like, that just sounds like some crazy demon lore that's out there that you would hear, like, read in the Bible or something like that. It's like, or like some story that people would tell their kids to get them to go to sleep for some reason, because back in the day, fairy tales are terrifying. I don't really know how that kind of correlates to now becoming bedtime stories, but it's basically the vibe that you're getting from these guys. And there's such like a hidden idea behind Pokemon of them actually being like really messed up creatures where they have really disturbing background stories. There's one, I think it's a Glacia, or I can't remember her name. It's a kind of a newer one, but she actually is the ghost of a woman who was depressed that died in a snowstorm. So yeah, so like this ghost type Pokemon was actually a person at one point. So I think like ghost types are really confusing in that sense, where they kind of break the boundaries of what Pokemon actually are. Because on the surface, like Pikachu, he's an electric rat. Cute. Right? But then you get things like Glaceon or Glacier, whatever her name is, where it's like, oh no, this is just some lady that died. And her ghost is just kind of roaming around. But you can catch her. It's cool. She's fine with it, I think. I don't know. Or you have...
She wants to be in a ball.
Yeah. She loves balls. Right.
What is a ghastly? Like, he's a ghost. What, these ghost Pokemon, are they dead Pokemon? Like, what Pokemon were they that they died? Did they just randomly change into a ghastly?
Yeah, that's part of the big lore behind it, and like the big things that like there's a lot of conspiracy theories and all that. But yeah, Ghastly is literally just like all ghost type Pokemon were just Pokemon or people that have died, and then they become Pokemon. Like,
I don't want to think about Pokemon dying.
Right? It's so depressing. Well, here's another depressing.
But how do they die? Because I mean, if they can get burnt to a crisp in a battle and just faint, like, what, they have to get dismembered or something? Like,
well, apparently,
what constitutes a Pokemon dying?
Apparently, with Charmander, all he has to do is have his flame go out, and he's dead.
God, you could win freaking battles that way. Just fucking douse his tail.
Just lick your fingers and put it out like a candle.
Oh, God.
Like, nobody tried that? Like, we need to see an adult version of Pokemon. Actually, no, we don't, because there would be some really weird stories with Mr. Mime and Mr. Mime and Ash's mom. No, thank you.
Or Hypno.
Or Lickitung hanging out with Professor Oak all day.
Oh, no. And Jinx.
Oh, gosh. That's problematic. That's just
Dratini.
Oh, gosh. They're all just so awkward. I love it, though. All right. So what was okay, we talked about our first games with Pokemon, but what was your actual favorite game? And why? Because a lot of people can argue that the Pokemon games are very, very similar, and they're basically rinse and repeat games if you kind of look at them, I mean, just on the surface. So
yeah,
which one stood out to you the most, and why did it stand out to you the most?
I'll kind of go based off of the main series and maybe a spin-off, because I kind of have one for each. I know for a lot of people that I've talked to, it always seems like the first Pokemon is their favorite game for them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for me, like, as much as I loved Silver, I think Crystal probably meant the most to me, just because it introduced even more things that I loved about Silver.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Red and Blue are classic, right? Gold and Silver and Crystal, it just added more because it gave you a whole nother world map.
Mm-hmm.
And everything about it was cool. You had the old Pokemon, you got new ones. At the time those games came out, like the anime was just going over to Johto as well. And it's like, it was cool.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, nostalgia's hitting me for that. But I mean, when you look at it gameplay wise, it added so much. And I feel like that was the last time we saw a Pokemon game add that much content over its prior release.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember when Ruby came out, I was super excited and I was like, oh, this is cool.
But it was the same.
The cart looks cool. It's see-through and red.
Right.
And I mean, obviously after that, that's when I started losing interest in Pokemon, because I felt like, yeah, there were new places, but they didn't have that expansive feel to it. And so for me, probably Crystal would be the big one. For newer games, I would probably say maybe, I don't know, Platinum or Diamond, one of those. But for spin-offs, oh my God, there's so many. I think I might have to go with Pokemon Puzzle League.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a deep pull there.
It's weird. I secretly like match 3 games here and there. Like, I have to be in a mood, right?
Mm-hmm.
Usually when I'm looking at my backlog, I don't know what to play, I'll pull up a friggin' match 3, like, I don't want to say Bejeweled, but stuff like that. Pokemon Puzzle League, I don't know what it was about it, but I just loved it. Like, I think I played more of that than Pokemon Stadium.
Oh gosh, Stadium. Oh.
Like, Stadium was cool because I got to play my Game Boy games on the TV. I mean, on the N64, but Puzzle League just captured me more. I mean, Snap kind of did it too, but Puzzle League just was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I think other than that, I never really got too deep in other Pokemon games. Like I played a lot of the trading card game on the Game Boy. Pokemon Pinball I loved, but yeah, I honestly think that Puzzle League's probably my like up there.
Nice.
Weirdly enough. What about you?
I mean, before I jump into my favorite real quick, I did want to talk a little bit more about the idea of maybe why like gold and silver had more of an impact. I think that was the first time that they actually expanded the world and gave you something new. And then after that, it became expected. Like if they didn't give you a bunch of new Pokemon to play with, you got kind of like a sour taste in your mouth, right?
Yeah.
And we kind of felt that with Sword and Shield recently, which was funny because it was in the reverse. They took away Pokemon from our roster and people got upset about it, understandably, because previously over all the generations, they would add new Pokemon, and that's like been their formula from gold and silver. That was the thing to do, is you add more to create more depth. That was their way of doing it. And then now all of a sudden they took away, and it like, yeah, sure, they added new ones, but it was a sense of like my number of choices just went down. So it was really upsetting. So I think like gold and silver was the first one to really push that boundary and give you something new and interesting to play with. And maybe that's why it had such a stronger impact, because after that, you just expected it. Right? So
that's a really good point. I did not think about that.
Yeah, that's while you're talking, I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. But for me, my hidden gem or my Pokemon game that actually I enjoyed the most, besides the originals, like you mentioned, I mean, Yellow always has a special place in my heart because I love seeing Pikachu happy and seeing him tied to a bunch of balloons and floating, or putting on a party hat and like basically just cheering with you or following you around was such a cool little mechanic that they added in that I just absolutely ate up as a kid. Pokemon Snap was like my jam, and it's such a like I'm so stoked that they're bringing it back, but it's such a game it's a dumb game. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
it really is. And I'm okay with admitting that because of how fun it still is to just go on this track and take pictures of Pokemon. That's all you're doing. And there's nothing really else to it. You just follow a track and you take pictures, and then you learn like which ones are going to jump out at what point in time. Like it's some fucked up carnival ride. And you just kind of keep doing it over and over again. But I think it was the first time that I saw a Pokemon game in a different light, where it wasn't just the grindy game. It was more of a turn your brain off kind of game. And it was a nice change of pace. Because as much fun as those like grindy games are, it is nice to kind of turn your brain off every once in a while. Like you mentioned with the puzzle game, like it's nice to be able to have a familiar images and assets and things that you enjoy, but in a simplified manner. Because sometimes you don't want to just sit there and grind all day, because those games, the early ones especially, were kind of hard, and you felt like you had to, level up your Pokemon pretty high to get anywhere after a while. Now they've kind of dumbed them down where they're really simple in nature, but before they were pretty difficult. So having that mindless game where I don't even have to friggin' move, I just rotate and take pictures all day. That was really fun for me.
Plus, you could print the pictures out, which was cool.
Yeah,
it's kind of a bummer that I guess we have digital photos now, so that's going to be the thing. But it is just cool going to Blockbuster and getting them printed out,
Yeah, like that was awesome, and being able to like catch Mew at the end with the picture, like it's just, I don't know, everything about that was just really, really fun to me. And yeah,
I love throwing balls at the Pokemon.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun just hitting them straight on the face with a ball.
Right. Hey everybody, just jumping in real quick. just want to say, first of all, thank you for continuing listening. And obviously you're enjoying it because you've reached the middle of our episode. But before we continue on, we just wanted to remind you all that if you are truly enjoying what you're hearing and you want to learn some more about us, you can find us on social medias, and we have links in our description. And you can find me and all the drawings that I'm doing on Instagram at Kieran, and that's Keuran. What about you, Chris?
You can find me at Sloppy Cube on Instagram. That's Sloppy and Cube at the end of it. I do all retro games or just games in general, so if that's your thing, check me out. You can also message me about ideas and anything, because I love talking.
Yep, we both really enjoy talking, obviously, because we are recording a podcast. So if you want to join in the conversation, please reach out to us on the Discord, and let's get right back into this episode. I'm excited to see what they do with the new version of Pokemon Snap. So it's gonna be
coming out soon, I think, isn't it?
Very soon. I don't know the exact
March?
date, but it will be, I think.
Oh, it's April, I think.
April, yeah. So it's right around the corner, which is really exciting. And actually, that's kind of what inspired us to do this episode to begin with, was that Nintendo Direct that just came out. So I want to hear your first impressions on the new titles that will be coming out.
So I'll go over the remakes or remasters, whatever
Mm-hmm.
people want to call that nowadays. I'm interested in them for sure. I think it's Diamond and Pearl. Yeah. I remember, I think Diamond was one of the DS games that I tried to get into, because there was a point where I stopped playing Pokemon, and then I think around the DS era I tried.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Diamond was one of them, but I remember playing and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, but obviously I just couldn't get into Pokemon anymore. But I always heard it's like one of the harder games. Like Diamond and Pearl are supposed to be the more difficult Pokemon titles.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually kind of excited for it. I don't mind the graphics. I know a lot of people are talking trash on it. I like it.
Why are they talking trash? It's adorable.
I don't know. They say it looks too chibi, but I'm like,
you're pulling. Okay, come on. You're pulling.
It's an anime game. It's supposed to be chibi.
Yeah, and you're pulling assets where those little pixel characters. Guess what? Those pixel characters were chibi too. It just makes sense to have that. Whatever. That's a whole nother tangent.
They just wanted to look like Doom.
Yeah, Doom Pokemon. That sounds great. I mean, it actually does.
It kind of does.
But give me a cute
First
game all day.
Shooting Pokemon balls at people.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. Damn it! All right, I'll give you guys this one. I'm not gonna fight that.
But I mean, yeah. So I'll probably be a sucker. I'll pick it up just because I'm interested in it. You know, I know it's gonna be better than Sword and Shield.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like 90% sure it will be. The other one, is it Arceus? How do you say it? Arceus?
I believe it is Arceus. No, I have no idea.
Arceus.
I have no idea.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
It's the one with the A.
Yeah. Pokemon Legends Arceus.
So I've always wanted a Pokemon game like this. Don't get me wrong. I've always wanted that open world. Like, that's what I thought Sword and Shield was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how that field is where you can run around and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was going to be, like the whole game, not the whole linear path that it's always been. Seeing this in an open world game, I'm excited, but I'm also worried.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who beat Breath of the Wild recently, last year, I really, really enjoyed that kind of a game. For Zelda, it worked. It kind of, because the Zelda games were always kind of barren. With Pokemon, it's like, maybe because the paths were always so linear, there was always something going on the maps.
Mm.
You always had Pokemon battles. You always had weird little nooks and crannies you could explore and find. And it's like, with an open world like Breath of the Wild clone, it's like, are we going to have that same kind of magic, or are there going to be a lot of empty spaces? And I see a lot of people critiquing some of the images of like the towns being very empty. And I want to say it's maybe because it's early in the game.
Yeah.
Like development that they haven't introduced, because those pictures look very, very basic. And I'd be very surprised if that's going to be the final product, because
yeah, I doubt it.
I know that Nintendo's banking on this title to bring all the people they lost from Sword and Shield back into the franchise, because I know they lost a lot of people because of that. So if they're able to bring all those people back into this game, they're going to try. And I'm excited for it. It's definitely probably, I'm going to get suckered into day one purchase of it, because I just want to play it.
Yeah.
I'm curious because it looks like you can just throw the Pokeball and catch them sometimes. So it's like, I noticed you can battle, but you can also just catch them in the wild. So I'm wondering how that mechanic's going to work out. And I think it's a very interesting region. Something that's kind of interesting, though, is I don't know if you've been following like the memes and stuff, but like the whole Sinnoh region where it's like, it's supposed to be back in time. And back in time, people could marry Pokemon.
Oh.
There was a lore book you could find in the old games, and it was like, in the old days of the Sinnoh region, humans and Pokemon lived as one, like married and shit. And I was like, are we going to be able to relationship? Like, is this going to be like a Persona game? Social links with Pokemon? Like, oh, God.
That's problematic.
I could romance a Jinx?
That's problematic. That's awkward. But, yeah. I mean, the Pokemon Company has a very interesting dilemma faced in front of them where, okay, we've been playing Pokemon for, 25 years now? Is that where we're at? Yeah. So you have people our age and older who are like Pokemon fans still. And then you have the new audiences coming in as well, which are children that were playing it when we were playing it. So how do you make a game that's relevant to such a wide range of people? And I feel like that aspect of it is going to be taken out completely. Like, I think instead of like being romantic in a sense with Pokemon, you're going to be able to befriend Pokemon and then they can do things for you. I think that's kind of more the direction they would go if they do that, because you're right, that is part of the original lore. And I wonder like how much of that original lore or intent is actually going to be shining through in these titles. Because it is curious. It's interesting that they decided to go back in time with it. And I think that's a good argument too for the fact that like the environments might feel kind of empty because they're basing it off of like, from what I've seen and from like the, designs of everything, it looks like feudal Japan. So like things are less developed and that just makes sense. Like you're going to be running into small villages here and there. So they wouldn't be these like hustle and bustle cities that we saw in Sword and Shield or in some of the later titles. Like you're not going to have the arcades to go into, or if you do, they're going to be more simplistic in nature, where it would be more like, like kind of like carnival-y games. It's not going to be like arcade stuff, right? I am curious to see what they do with it, and I still think it's a little too early to like really make fun of these games just yet. As much fun as it is, like we need to know more. All we know now is that they're coming out with a new game and it looks way more open world than what people expected from Sword and Shield. And I feel like everyone should just get excited about that aspect alone and just kind of see what happens next. Wait for the next Nintendo Direct where they slowly start leaking out more and more, because Nintendo really likes to hold things close to the chest. And we're not going to know the full extent of the game until much later in the production. So it's, as far as excitement for it, am I excited? Hell yeah, I am. And am I going to play it? Of course I am. And this is coming from someone that like, I stayed away from Sword and Shield when it first came out because of all the negative things that were coming out about it. And I played it much later. And I actually really enjoyed it. It was super simple. It wasn't hard at all, but it was still fun. So regardless of how much like the meme culture comes out and makes fun of this and all that, like I think it's still going to be a fun title no matter what. It's Pokemon. It can't be not fun. I just don't think that's possible anymore.
Yeah. I bet you, because of the release date for it, I bet that and Breath of the Wild 2 are going to be the pushers for the Switch Pro. If we get, because they already said they're going to make a Switch that gives 4K and stuff. I bet you.
That makes sense.
Because it'll just run better, because I mean, look at the way Breath of the Wild ran on the Wii U compared to the Switch. I bet you they're going to somehow make this Pokemon game kind of like demanding on the system, but I mean, that's just future guessing though. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree. I feel like that's a really good guess to have. I think that makes sense completely. All right, so I do have one final question for you, just because of how much nostalgia Pokemon really brings up. And I'm wondering, is there a song that sticks out in your head from Pokemon across any of the games that you love to this day? And when you hear it, it takes you back to that town or area or battle or whatever it may be. Is there some sort of music that really speaks to you?
Lavender Town.
Ah, you took mine.
That was like the first time really in a game that I just kind of like had it sit there and I would listen to it. Like, there's a few tracks that are bangers in the old Pokemon games, but I know I hate to take, I think, a lot of people's answer. Yeah. I'm just going to do Lavender Town. It's just, it's too good.
Yeah.
It's different.
Agreed. Lavender Town is fantastic. And there's some really cool, like recently, because I mean, lo-fi is everything. Lo-fi is life. I've found some like really cool like Lavender Town remixes that are lo-fied, and it's freaking dope. Like they sound so good, and it's just so like it's fun to listen to old Pokemon music just kind of like revamped like that. And like, because they still bring up all those feels, and then like you still feel like, okay, yeah, this is a good song. Like, and I mean, to be completely honest, it makes it feel less embarrassing to be listening to Pokemon music on your headphones while you're at work or doing stuff, because it feels like a real song that you're listening to. But you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. You're just listening to the old Pokemon soundtracks because why not? Which just makes sense. And yeah, is there another one that maybe sticks out to you that would be like a close second as far as instead of Lavender Town?
I'm going to be honest with you. I know there is one, but I forgot the route number. Because I know certain routes have different tunes.
Yeah.
I honestly forgot. It's been such a long time. What about you?
That is a very tough one. I mean, you got to always go with like Route 1 music, because it was one of those that, like, it was the start of the adventure, right? Like, just hearing that little like chip tune, it just, you get that sense of being a child going out on this grand adventure, like the happiness of it. It's like, I'm going out, I'm going to be doing this, like, this is fun, this is great, right? Like, there's no problems in the world whatsoever, which I think is the perfect way to like open an adventure, was that Route 1 tune. And
yeah,
and then you get to Lavender Town and you're like, what the fuck? There's ghosts and people die. That's kind of where I feel like it did a really good job into that transition of it. So you can't.
I feel like most of the town soundtracks you can't go wrong with. Like, they're all really good.
Yeah, they're all super strong in their own sense.
Something I did bring up earlier, I'll touch on it real quick because I think we're gonna save it for a future episode. But when you look at like Pokemon as an RPG, obviously, and how much of like a party you can have, like, you know, always have the 6 party members, but then you have like 150 on deck. Right. Like, not many other RPGs have that, right? That like the only ones that are not monster catching are the Suikoden games. And do you feel like when you have a huge variety of choices, do you keep the same party all throughout the game, or do you switch it up? I've been wanting to ask people this question for so long.
I end up keeping the same party.
Okay.
I do.
I'm not crazy.
Yeah. Because for me, this kind of happens. It's not just with these monster catching games, but it's also with like Final Fantasy games or any game that has like a job system to it, where it's like super expansive. Like I'm kind of running into that right now with Bravely Default too, as well, where you find what works for your play style and you just run with it. And I don't know, like growing up, like thinking about leveling up every single Pokemon to level 100, like at one point that was a goal that I wanted to do because why not?
Mad
right?
lad.
Yeah, because I mean, it's you catch them and you want to use them and play with them, and just that was kind of the whole point. But now, like when I played Sword and Shield, I would just catch things because I wanted to fill out the Pokedex, and then I just whatever. I'm not going to use you because I have my team of 6 already.
Yeah.
I always now here's a good question. Were you one of those that wanted to make sure you had one of each element represented and then you stuck with them? Or did you pick ones that you just thought looked cool?
So my younger self, it was definitely the ones that looked cool. As I got older, I mean, I realized like I couldn't do just 6. Like I had to have some on the deck, like side deck. So yeah, like I would always have like 2 of every type that I would rotate in. Because if I was going to go after a, fire gym, I want 2 water Pokemon that I level up rather than just the one. Because it's like if that one somehow gets knocked out because he's fighting everything, I want a secondary.
Right.
Because I've definitely had it where my team of cool looking Pokemon just gets their like the floor wiped with their faces because they're just not good, So yeah, I've learned over time as I got older to kind of switch it up.
Right. That makes sense.
What about you?
For me, I always try to get at least one of each element. Like that just always made sense to me. I mean, it's a rock, paper, scissors game. So I wanted to make sure I had my full tool belt set up. And growing up too, like my biggest thing was let me get all the EVs real quick. Cause that was, I mean, that's 3 awesome types right there. And like you're good. But yeah, I mean, at first, when I first start catching, yeah, it's the ones that look cool. Like I'm not gonna catch Caterpries. I can't.
Why not?
I don't like.
You don't want a team of 6?
I don't like Butterfree. That's just my thing.
Oh, you're missing out.
There's other good ones that I can catch up on later. But
like a Beedrill.
Yeah, I'd rather have Beedrill over Butterfree in that sense.
But Butterfree can put things to sleep and paralyze. Like it's a great debuffer.
It's true, but as a kid, I just wanted to
look
straight attack, right? And we were talking like with Horn Drill and everything like that, like just raw power to just power through and one shot people. Like I gravitated more towards like the powerhouses rather than looking at the debuff natures of Pokemon.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I still feel like I do that too, because there's no point in learning how to debuff something if you can just one-shot it.
That's true, yeah. If you want to go that route.
Yeah. So I was a one-shot guy. Just one hit, done, get him out of here. Bring out your next one. Good luck, because my guy's still waiting, and he's strong against every type. Or even if he isn't, like having a Charizard go up against a Gyarados and one-shot him, that's such a good feeling.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so Pokemon has really inspired a lot of our choices, like we mentioned. It's really become another one of those iconic things. It similar to how we mentioned in our previous episode about Mario, it has inspired a generation of designers, players, and just people with their cafes as well, with the games, everything. It's still relevant to this day. And I'm always excited for a new Pokemon title and just happy to have them in my life because they're just adorable little critters. And you can't go wrong with fighting adorable little critters. That's just a fact. But yeah, so that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you so much for listening. And we really do hope that you've enjoyed this. And if you have, make sure to follow us on all the socials. Follow the links in the show descriptions. We have everything available for you. And like we mentioned before, we are still currently revamping our Patreon page, and that's all the updates are going to get posted on those social medias. So please make sure to follow so that you can get the latest updates when they happen. But yeah, like I said, that's it. Thank you so much for listening. And
bye.
Bye.